Hello. Testing. There I am. There I am. Okay, testing. There I am. Okay, testing. Okay, checking the microphone to see if you can hear. I know. Okay. I'm turning it down now, so... We lost our microphone setup, so... Alright, Mr. Chaos Galaxy. And so you can just watch this video whenever you get the chance. But I thought it would be fun to make a video to help you out. Yeah, Chaotic Galaxy. Okay, so you want to learn Tekken and you want to learn Josie. Okay, so first of all, I'll just go over the notations since you asked about that. So the notations are normally 1, which is left punch, 2 is right punch, 3 is left kick, and 4 is right kick. And you can see the notations down at the bottom of the screen too. I got it set up so you can see all of my inputs. There's also other things too, like 1 plus 2, which is basically just both punch buttons at the same time. Looks like that. 3 plus 4 is both kick buttons at the same time. 1 plus 3 is grab, and 2 plus 4 is also grab. As far as like movement, that one's pretty self-explanatory as well. Forward is forward, or F is forward, B is back, D is down, and let's see. There's not really an up button because there's jump. If you hold the up button, you get jump. If you tap it, you get a sidestep into the background. So that'll be that is normally displayed as SSR or SSL, which is sidestep left or sidestep right. That's what that means if you see that online. Okay, so that's the notations. Sometimes it doesn't show on here, but there's movement notations as well. And it won't show on the screen, but sometimes you'll see like I can't even describe it. It's been such a long time since I played Tekken, but like since we're talking about Josie, if you do like a Shoryuken or like a Vapor Thrust movement, you get this crouch dash. Alright, so that's a crouch dash right there. That's like a special Josie thing. She has special moves that come out of that crouch dash, but we'll talk about that later. Alright, and you wanted to talk about movement a little bit as well. So let's go over movement first. So like if you hold back and forward, you know, this is like the normal walk animations, which is like really slow and sluggish, right? Even if you do back or forward, like if you're trying to do back, you get this guy, and then, you know, you're holding back, and that's what happens. But it's still like really clunky. So one thing you could do as a beginner is you can cancel your back dash or your forward dash with a sidestep, and it looks like this. So you can do that, right? So you can, that lagginess at the end there, you can actually just cancel it by sidestepping. So like a movement for you might look like this, right? So you could do that to kind of like move around a little bit more. There is this thing called Korean backdashing, but it's like pretty hard to do. I wouldn't recommend you try it right now. It's up to you if you want to like look into it. But that's a moving technique that takes a lot of practice. So in the meantime, you can just fake it until you make it and just do this instead, right? So you can just do that. Okay, so you wanted to figure out, you wanted to play Josie, and you were talking about like, oh, how do I unironically learn all of her moves. Well, let's go to her move list, right? Like, look at all these moves that we have. Oh my god, that is so many moves. You scroll all the way down. She has 84, which is, funny enough, that's like on the lower end. But, okay, so the good news is that you don't need to know all of that stuff right now. Because right now, like, we'll give you like a bare bones kit of Josie, so you can figure out, you can figure out as you go along other moves, but you'll know like the most important stuff. So the first one we're gonna go over is the jab. People are watching. Oh, are you watching? That's you? Okay. Oh, okay. I think one of them is me as well. So, okay. So yeah. So the jab. So this is, you play Guilty Gear Strive. It's pretty much just like your generic jab, right? In Guilty Gear. Actually, forget the Guilty Gear analogy because Tekken's like such a different game with different stuff. So I'll just talk about Tekken without really bringing up Guilty Gear as much. But so, okay, so the thing to know about the jab is your fastest move. So it's 10 frames. Every character, except for like maybe one or two, have the same jab, which is 10 frames, and it's always going to be +1 on blocks. So if you set Eddie Gordo to guard all, you can see that I'm +1. And that's the case for pretty much every character. So, that's really important to know because it's your fastest move, and it's +1, so it's like really good for like pressure, right? Okay, so, the problem with the jab, as good as it is it's a high. So characters can actually crouch underneath it like so, right? So, as good as the jab is, it still has its flaws. Which brings us to our next move, which is another generally universal tool, which is down forward 1. And it looks like that. Actually, wait a minute. Okay. So here's the thing, I don't play Josie. So, I'm doing this right now, and she doesn't have a, typical down forward 1. So hold up, let me find what her... There we go. I think that's it right there. So this is like, most characters have a down forward 1, and it looks like a jab, and it's normally 13 frames startup, and it hits mid. But Josie, it's not down forward 1. It's actually down forward 3, it looks like. Or sorry. What is it? Oh yeah, just neutral 3. Just 3 by itself, and you get this move. It's 13 frames. Let's see what it is on block. Okay, so it's -8. So that's like worse than normal. But okay, so I think that's the thing. You were asking what Josie's game plan is. So she doesn't have like a strong down forward 1 that she can spam a lot. But what she has instead are all these a bunch of strings that come from her jab, right? So let's see what she's got. So she has down forward 1, and these are like her strings kind of serve like the purpose of like covering mid. So let's go over some of her strings. So she's got this string right here. Let's see. Okay, so there we go right there. So we got like, one thing you could do is like harass your opponent by using this jab and follow-ups like 1, 2, and then she goes into, you can use 1, 2, 3, and it gives you a mid, like right that. But let's see, that's not what I really wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about key moves, and it turns out that Josie doesn't have a typical down forward 1. So, oh, you know what? I think that might be why. So this down forward 4 right here is only 14 frames. That's like 1 frame more, but also leads into her switch stance. So like when she kicks and then you see her like do that little switch with her feet. That's her little switch stance. So you know what? Let's talk about the switch stance first. So there's a couple ways to get into it. So there's 1, 2, 4. See? 1, 2, 4. That'll put you in switch stance. There is 2 and 4 if you want to be a little bit faster. Same thing. And then there is down, forward, 4. They all put you in switch stance. So it's not like a traditional stance like lay or somebody. It's just like a stance where you have a small window to do a button, do a button input, and you get a move, like a unique move out of that stance. And she has different means of attacks from out of the switch stance. So you got this one right here. So that's your counter hit switch stance option. So if somebody blocks that kick and they try and mash, that thing is gonna hit them, that elbow. And that's what happens when you land a counter hit. You get that crumple state, and then you get a you can like figure out what combo it is, but that's what you get there. So that is down, forward, 4 and 1, and that's what happens there. She's got this one here too. So this one is a mid. It's a little bit slower, so if somebody's mashing out of your down, forward, 4, this will actually lose. But if they're ducking, or if they do like a slower move, then it's gonna connect. You're gonna get a counter hit, and then you get another combo. So now what else does she have out of this? She's got this here. So that one, she's like airborne when she does this one here. So like it'll go over lows, and I think it wall bounces too. So if you're at a wall, yeah, see, it wall bounces. So if you're at a wall, that's like a good way to get like extra damage if you think you can land that move, because you get the wall bounce and you get like a huge combo. I don't know the combo, but let's see. And she also has a low. Yeah, there we go. So out of the switch stance, after you do this switch stance, you hit down and 3, and you get this little sweep here, which also gives you counter hit. Right? So this like stance thing here is basically like a counter hit machine. Like all the moves out of it give you counter hits. It just depends on what scenario you think is best, you know, like, because even though all the moves have counter hit properties, they also have different frame data. So it depends on what you want. Like, oh, hey, is your opponent always mashing on block? Do that one right there. Is your opponent by the wall? You can do that one, and you get the counter, or you get the wall bounce. Is your opponent blocking? But are they stand blocking? You do that one. So yeah, there you go. What else does she have from there? So let's talk about this little crouch dash thing right here. So this crouch dash has moves out of it as well, and I'm mentioning the crouch dash right now because you can do the kick into the crouch dash just like that. So while you do this, you're actually not committed to doing these buttons here. You can actually do the crouch dash to mix up your opponent even further. So let's talk about the crouch dash. You can do it out of this switch stance. There you go. You do it out of the switch stance, or you can just do it, you know, just in the neutral. So let's talk about the moves out of the out of the crouch dash. So she's got that right there. That's going to be one of your best friends right there, right? That's like one of her really good lows. It gives you a knockdown on counter hit, which is great. So that's one move you want to be using a lot. She has this one right here. Doesn't look like much, Like, you might just be thinking, like, okay, hey, it doesn't look cool, it doesn't give you any big damage or counter-hit properties, but it's also non-committal. Like, it's one of your least committal moves. It's 11 frames, which is, if you remember, just 1 frame slower than your jab, so it's really fast. Let's see what it is on block. Only -6, so that's great. I mean, you lose your turn, but you're still safe, and you can still move around and whatnot. And then you got this right here. So let's say you got like a good read. Your opponent's like always blocking this low or whatever. You think your opponent's gonna block. That's when you bring this guy out, because that's gonna give you like a big launcher. Right? So that's your launcher right there. So once you have them, once they're so tired of blocking this move or getting hit by it, they're like, okay, I'm gonna like try and low parry it, or I'm gonna try and block it. That's when you can bring that guy out, because then you get a huge combo from it. So so there's that. What else? Like I said, there's another one. There's another area where you can go into switch stance. So that is down 3, then 4. Alright, so one thing I mentioned also when I was talking to you is that she's like the string master. She has so many strings. And a string is kind of like Guilty Gear's Gatling system, sort of. So even though she's got a lot of moves, I would say start with moves that come from this jab, right? This jab, like I said, she can go into switch stance from it, right? So what else does she have? She has that right there. Not really applicable to you yet. That's actually a punish, I think. That's a block punish right there. But since you don't really know the frame data, that's not really gonna... You know, I wouldn't expect you to remember that one. But this is more of a punish rather than like a mix-up tool. It's like, oh hey, if my opponent did something and is -10, that's when you do that. So let's see, what has she got? Oh, she's got this one too. So 1, 2, down 4. 1, 2, down 4, 4. So, like as you can see, like this is all just from this one jab, right? Like she's got that. She's got that. She's got, and all of her switch stance stuff as well. So like you've got so many moves that come just from this move right here, just from jab, right? So if you want to start learning Josie, I would say start from there and figure out like what moves you want to use, or what moves you like to use, right? So because a lot of them are kind of like locked behind this move right here. Let's see, other moves that you could use, like other good moves. So let's talk about the hop kick. That's a really good move as well. It's basically your 15 frame launcher, but sometimes you can like just get away with like just using it as like a Hail Mary, and it gives you a full combo, right? So I don't know how good your friend is, but if he's playing Eddie and he doesn't know punishes and whatnot, just use this all day on him, because he's probably not going to punish it, and it gives you a full combo. So that's a must-remember move for you. Remember that move right there. So let's see. Let's go over the good moves that we just talked about. Like, let's just recap real quick. So, switch stance. Learn about that. So learn about all of your switch stance options, like inside of switch stance, which we just did. We literally just went over it, right? Also learn about the different ways to get into switch stance. Most of them, like most of them are pretty much the same way. Like, so 1, 2, 4 leaves you into switch stance. You can take out the initial jab and just do 2, 4. it puts you into switch stance as well. Then down forward 4 also puts you in switch stance. And then down 3, 4 leaves you in switch stance as well. So there's like multiple ways to access your switch stance options. Let's talk about... Okay, so let's talk about some of her pokes too. So, let's see. What else? Yeah, there's one right there. That's so that's like one of her good low pokes. You know, because it's 15 frames, so you can't react to it. It's too fast for somebody to be like, oh, hey, she's doing a low, so I'm gonna block it. Like, it's too fast. So that's why that's really good. You get that's another way to condition your opponent to block low, and then you hit him with that down forward 2, which is a generic Tekken launcher, kind of like a hot kick, but it does have different properties. Let's see, what else? Oh, that's another, okay, so this is another good low too. So, it's kinda slow, right? But the idea behind this move is that when your opponent is like swinging at you like Josie's doing right here, you know, they're like pressing a bunch of buttons and you're like, oh man, this person's just mashing and they're just doing all kinds of stuff on me. You know, and you're afraid to take your turn. What you can do is do that, because this move right here is going to go underneath all those highs, so you can like use it to kind of take your turn back, right? So you can get out of pressure, tag on some damage, but also you can go into switch. I was doing it before. How come I can't do it again? I'm talking to anybody who'll listen. Okay, so I thought you could go into switch stance, but I'm having trouble doing it. So also let's talk about, since you're new to Tekken, let's cover this thing as well. So, there's a difference between holding down and releasing down. Like, Tekken considers those two separate inputs. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this for you here is because if you're holding down, you have access to different moves, right? You have your access to your crouch moves. Oh, there's another really good move I forgot to. We'll go over that one in a second. But we're holding down, right? So we're in full crouch. That's normally displayed as FC, I believe. So full crouch. And you have access to certain crouch moves, including this one right here. So that's another good move. So while you're holding down, you roll down into down forward, and you hit 4, and you get this move right there. So, one second. Okay, I am back. So we were talking about crouching, but what happens if you like press a button and release, or you release your crouch position and you press a button? You get what is called in Tekken, it's called while standing, and it's basically like almost like a mini stance when you're transitioning from crouching to standing again, and when you press buttons. Like when you press your buttons while you're in the process of standing up, you have access to different attacks. So with Josie, you got looks like you have like a counter hit, mid. You have other, I just wanted to mention that. Like, I don't know a whole lot about Josie, so I'm not going to go through those moves right now. But just so you're aware, that's what that means. While standing means you have access to like different moves while you're transitioning from crouching to standing. I think that's mostly it. I don't, cause like I wanted to go into Josie, talking to you about Josie, and I didn't even know that she didn't have a generic down forward 1. So like right from the start, I was like, oh, okay. Let's see. See, here's okay. So this is one reason why her down forward 1 is so slow. It's because she has like strong extensions from it, right? So here's her down forward 1 right there, and unlike highs, people need to guard it standing. They can't duck under it, and they can't crouch block it either. So they basically need to block it standing. So she has extensions from down forward 1 as well. Let's see what she's got. See, like, once again, like, she's like the string master. Yeah, okay, so that's one, this is one that I see, like, good Josies use all the time. So that's down forward 1, 4, and then 2. And then you get this little combo right here, right? So she has this one here, which is down forward 1 and then 2, which is a mid-high. It's gonna, like, I can tell, it's gonna be safer on block. So, like, if you're like, oh, hey, I don't really want to be super minus on block if they block it, you know, you can do this, because you'll still be safe and it's really fast. The only thing is, if you use it a lot, your opponent can crouch under it, and they can crouch under the second hit and they'll launch you. Alright, so and then you got this one here, which is just down forward 1 and 4, and you get this little poke string right here. And then if you do down forward 1, 4, 4, you get that counter hit right there, right? So, yeah, so those, I would say those are pretty much like the main Josie moves you probably want to look into right away while you're playing. Like while you're trying to learn this character. You know, those moves right there. So, jab, all of the jab extensions from 1, your switch dance stuff, and then get used to using the crouch dash, the snake dash, and then the extensions off your down forward 1 as well. And then I think that's like enough for you to like put together a game plan, you know, so you can beat your Eddie friend. Okay, and I think that's it for now. I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, so I'll send this to you whenever, you'll see this whenever you get on, I guess. So I'm gonna end the stream, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.